May peace and blessings be upon you all. Hi guys, this is Shahadat and I'm going to make a little review video of another Sadhguru wisdom sharing session. And after watching this session and a few others, I realized that the problem is Sadhguru doesn't really understand, he doesn't know the English language well enough, and so he seems to use the terms in the wrong way and gives wrong kind of messages, confuses people. I get totally confused every time I watch his lectures. It sounds like there are gems and jewels in his lectures. I guess that's because of his appearance with white beard. You just assume somebody obviously will be wise. But then when you think about what he said deeply, it feels like, oh, okay, probably he needed to go to the school and learn language or logic and things like those before speaking to people. So this particular video is when lady asked this interesting question. Well, instead of me trying to explain it, why not I share this screen and you and let's play the video and you see exactly what this question was about. Let's go.
By reading ancient scriptures like Bhagavad Gita or Guru Granth Sahib, we tend to become very much pure. We look the world from a different perspective.
What is that? You become pure.
A person becomes pure.
But why were they impure? Now, why were they impure?
Because sometimes people are very much unkind.
Huh?
Unkind.
Unkind. Oh.
Yeah. So we look at the world in a different way. We become very much kind, and we develop the tendency of forgiving people. But what happens when we go to the workplace? We realize that because of your this attitude, because you become very much kind and you have the tendency to forgive people, the other people, they start using you. So what should we do? What a person should do in such cases? Should a person stop reading such ancient scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Guru Granth Sahib, or what is the right age to read such books?
So there was a few things in the question. To start with, I would like to make it clear that it appears that Sadhguru couldn't really hear what she was saying. The unkind word, it needed like 3 attempts for him to really understand what she was talking about. To start with the pure thing, I think that's just a inappropriate use of the pure word in her sentence, but I think I understand what she intended based on the explanation that she gave later, which is when you read ancient scripts, they tend to make you better people, I would say, in terms of better in the sense that if you have kindness, if you have all these virtues in you, if you behave in a more virtuous way, then we as human beings, we normally consider you as a good person, right? In that sense, what she is saying is, after reading these scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Guru Granth Sahib, she thought that people become kinder, more compassionate, caring, so in a sense better, even though she used the word pure, which has got a different meaning. So yeah, but the final thing she wanted to know about is, once somebody becomes like that, then in the workplace there is a tendency of others, colleagues, trying to use this person or trying to get this person to do their work. Excuse me. So there is that tendency, and she was asking, how do we deal with that? Should we just not read these scripts until you reach a certain age, or how do you go about you being a kind person? How do you deal with that? So I think lots of people actually find this quite complicated, because when we talk about one aspect of life or one particular virtue, we tend to, especially people in our subcontinent, Indian subcontinent, we tend to get bogged down with that particular one concept, whereas the truth is, human beings are not just defined by one virtue or attribute. Kindness is one attribute of a human being, but justice is another attribute of a human being. Then there are so many others, right? So if you actually consider all of them together, then you will see that it's not a problem. Then you won't have these questions. Should I stop being kind? I mean, you should be kind to others as long as you know that people are not taking your kindness as your... What's the matter? I'm drinking coffee and hot coffee, and still my throat is giving me this hard time. Do something, coffee. Okay, so as soon as you realize that somebody is taking your kindness as your weakness, they think they can get you to do their work, where they will reap the benefit, but they will get you to, and they think they're being smart, they're being intelligent, and you're being the idiot. That's when you need to draw the line, because now it is violating the justice aspect of a human being, and respect aspect of the human being, where you are, because of your kindness, somebody else is now losing respect for you. They are thinking that they can use you in whatever way possible. Now the word use you, that's a key point in this particular statement, because if you understand the English language, then this word use you means trying to get their work done through you, trying to get you to do extra work for them, even though that is their responsibility, but just trying to get it done from you. But let's look at how Sadhguru tries to explain it in the totally wrong kind of way. Let's watch.
Now, one thing, the last part of the question that you said, other people will start using you. That means you're not using yourself well. That there is space and time that others can use you. If you're using yourself to the fullest extent, nobody will have an opportunity to use you.
Even though people clapped, and I don't know, some of you probably agreed with the statement, I don't actually. And I thought that's a terrible thing to say to a person, because now what he's talking about is your integrity, honesty. So, you see, when we go to a job, we have a contract. We will work from 9 to 5 or whatever the time is. Between these times, we will be working for this business, and we will be working honestly with the maximum capabilities that we have. Right. And that is our commitment to the business. If I do that exactly at 5 o'clock, if I stop working and get out of the office, I have done my best. And that means I have actually used myself properly. It's not like the concept Sadhguru is referring to is the concept where you have this contract, you are supposed to work, but in the middle, you intentionally either don't pay attention to your work, either you are chatting with your friends on the computer if the work is computer-based, or doing other things, trying to have a discussion with your colleague, knowing that this is just going to waste some time. If you do that, then you are actually not using your or giving your 100%. And what happens is in those sort of situations, yeah, your boss might see that, this person actually spends quite a bit of time talking to colleagues for about things that are not related to the business, and she talks about what happened to, or he talks about what happens to his family, what happened with their spouse last night, and things like those arguments. And I mean, it is acceptable because as human beings we do like talking about our personal life and the things that make us happy. But yeah, if it is like, say, 2%, 5% of the whole day's time, nobody would really care. But if it becomes like 50% of the time, then people will look at you and think, she's actually, or he is actually not investing or spending enough time for the actual work that they need to do. So at that point, they can give them more work. But this more work is not the idea of actually taking them as kind and try to manipulate them. In this scenario, what they are doing is the superiors can clearly see that this person has time to do more work. So they are giving more work. And that's the contract. You are selling your time. So in between these times, you should do the work. But the way Sadhguru said that if she occupied herself 24 hours, then nobody would get the chance to use her. That pretty much says that you are not being honestly giving your 100% to your in whatever you are doing. In this particular case, because she asked about the work environment, I'm trying to talk about the work environment more. So the way Sadhguru just characterized her is actually wrong and quite insulting. I mean, he basically said that you are not being honest in terms of your work commitments. I don't like it.
See, if you're, let us say, you're using something 24 hours of the day, where will I get time to use the same thing? So 24 hours of the day, every moment of your life, if you are using this to the fullest extent, to do whatever you want to do, where is the chance for somebody to use this?
And that's another misconception if you, in case you missed it. You see, he's pointing to this. When somebody else use you, it doesn't mean they actually use this. They actually use this. The intellectual faculty that you have, your ability of doing things. It's not like they control your body and get things to do. It's not like that. It's not like when you are not using your body, you just put it in your, it's not like a dress, where when you are not using it, you're just putting it in your cupboard. Body is not like that. You are the body. I mean, these two things, you and the body, they are not separable, right? I mean, if they are separable, then we don't call you a living human being anymore. Once these two separate from each other, then the body becomes a dead thing. So this idea of using you see, I mean, by now he has already diverted the idea to a wrong kind of place.
If you're not using it, it's good, at least somebody else is using it.
Sounds good to, I mean, it's funny, but it's stupid,
Now,
to be honest.
Anyway, Bhagavad Gita is not about kindness, Krishna is talking about war. He's a very practical person. When there is war needed, he's trying to instigate war. He sees there is no other solution, so he's saying, let's go to war. Somebody else is hesitating. He's saying, this is it, this is the time to fight, this is not the time to hesitate. Where is kindness in this? There is simple political sense. What needs to be done is being done. He's only saying, don't get caught up in this activity, you need to do it, just do it.
And I don't know, I haven't read the Bhagavad Gita, or I haven't read the Guru Granth Sahib either. But if you pay just focus to this statement that was made, I mean, I know Sadhguru hasn't read the, he hasn't, he hasn't read the Bhagavad Gita as well. I mean, there are a few other videos where he openly claimed that I didn't read it. And so, without reading it, it's when he says that there is nothing, no kindness in Bhagavad Gita, it's all about Krishna raging a war. I don't know if that's justice to the Bhagavad Gita, given the fact that the lady's question was that after reading the Bhagavad Gita, she feels that it makes her a kinder person. She tends to take a kinder approach to life. I assume there must be something in Bhagavad Gita that tells people to be kind. And in Sadhguru's statement, he's kind of like referring to that as well, when he's saying, don't get caught up with the thing, just do whatever needs to be done. That also means do it when it needs to be done, and don't do it when you do not need to do it. So in case of this war, rage the war if that is inevitable. This is the only way to solve a problem. That is the only way to deal with some corruption in the world, in your space, wherever you are working. You need to fight if somebody is trying to abuse you or anything like that. You need to do that. But at the same time, if there is a way, peaceful way of achieving the same result, then don't go for war. I mean, that's the kind of understanding I get from the fact that he said, don't get bogged down with it, just do it when it needed. Also, which indicates that don't do it if it is not needed. So, and now he used this word kindness. There is no kindness. Now, if you think about the question that the lady asked, is she was asking about when she feels kinder to other people. And Sadhguru, from this point onwards, will try to draw the image as if she was trying to get kindness from others. And which obviously was not the situation. That's not what she was asking. But let's see.
Don't make too much fuss about it. Kindness. See, kindness means… kindness is useful only for the fallen, isn't it?
No. That's where the problem is. I mean, the claim that I made is he doesn't understand the English language. This is one of the things. Kindness is not only for the fallen. Pity is another word which is related to kindness. Similar kind of concept, but there is a problem. There is a difference. Pity is when you don't really care about the person, but only because you see that they have got no way of helping themselves, you just to prove to yourself that you are the superior one, you give them some sort of help. That is called pity. So having pity on a person, beggar in the street, you can have pity on a beggar in the street. You don't really care about that person, you don't know him, and you're just giving some money because you have the money. Still, that's not the ideal example. In the pity concept, there has got to be a little bit of self-satisfaction. Okay. But the kindness, on the other hand, is a concept where two people feel compassionate about each other. Like, kindness is not only about the fallen. Say, for example, if I give you an example, two people, equally strong, equally powerful, they can be kind to each other. The mere fact that when they meet each other, They just decide to treat each other with respect without causing any kind of abuse or calling any kind of creating any kind of trouble. If they try to maintain a nice relationship, that is being kind to each other, because they are equally powerful. They could actually be abusive to each other, but they decided not to. That is kindness. But when my enemy, who is falling off the cliff, and I have no compassion for him, but just to show him that how kind I am compared to him, how better a human being I am compared to him, I reach out and I pull him out. And as soon as he has come out, I totally forget about him. That will be like I'm showing pity to you. You are a lowly life, and I'm just showing pity to you. I was reading about the difference between kindness and pity, and in the internet, and I found one example that was quite interesting. They said kindness is something where somebody who is in a better position tries to reach out for somebody who is not in that sort of a good condition and pulls them up with respect, without having any other ideas in their head. Whereas pity is when I tend to look at somebody, tell them how great I am, and I might actually pull them out just to show my greatness. That is pity. And as human beings, we don't want to receive pity from others. That pity is an insult. But from this point onwards, you will see Sadhguru is defining kindness as an insult, and which basically tells me that he doesn't understand the English language.
When you're standing on your feet, do you want somebody to be kind to you?
I do.
Hello?
Otherwise there will be all sorts of chaos.
Let us say you were going to your friend's house every day. They welcomed you and everything, they fed you, they took care of you. But one day you realized they were doing it simply because they were kind to you. Will you feel insulted or no?
No.
Yes, sir?
The answer is no. And why would I not feel insulted? Because I know me and my friend, I mean, obviously the situation obviously matters. In this particular example, if I say, I have the ability of getting food at home, I don't have any need like that, but still, when I go to my friend, only because of this relation that we are friends, I'm treated with kindness from them. That means there is nothing insulting in it. But if it was like I'm a very poor person, I don't have food at home, and this friend that I'm talking about, he's not really a friend even. He doesn't really care about me, but he knows that I don't get to eat enough. So he then calls me to his home and just gives me to eat, and he doesn't care. I mean, he doesn't spend time with me. The friendship is not there. And still they feed me because they think I haven't got food. At that point, you could look back and you could see, okay, so... But the problem is, if you call each other friends, immediately this relationship means you are being kind to each other. So there is nothing insulting about it. I went to my friend's house, they fed me. If my friend comes to my house, I will feed him. And we will not argue about it. We will not fight over it, right? Because there is nothing insulting in it at all. And if there was something insulting, if it was showing pity, then the friendship idea doesn't work. I mean, you cannot be a friend and have pity on your friend. The difference, it was... oh no, I explained the difference already. So, but hopefully you can see the problem.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
No, you got it wrong.
Only when you're fallen, kindness matters.
No.
When you stand on your feet, you don't want kindness, you want acceptance, you want respect, you want… Yes or no?
All these things, you want respect, acceptance, these are a form of kindness. I mean, kindness is this broad thing that includes lots of things. and this acceptance, these are kind of kindness. Respecting, why would I respect somebody else if I'm standing, they're standing? Why do I have to, if we are equal in power, why do I have to show respect to him? I don't have to, but I decide to do that. Even if the person is more powerful than me, I still have the choice of not being kind to them. But I have the choice of being kind to them, and that is not the pity relationship. It is treating each other with respect, which has got nothing to do with pity. It has got everything to do with kindness, which is a virtue. Virtue means something that is good. Having pity on somebody is not a virtue, because then you are feeding your own ego. You are feeding your ego. You are doing it only to feel good about yourself. Whereas when you do show kindness, you will feel good when the person you showed kindness to, when they are out of their pit, out of the trouble. If they do well, then you will feel good. That's what kindness is. Oh, this guy doesn't understand kindness.
So kindness is only for the sick and the dying, not for young. You should not ask for kindness ever.
Your mom or dad, in their old age, they're sick and they're bedridden, they cannot move, and they need you for all of their activities, taking them to the toilet, feeding them, for all of their activities. Are you actually doing it just because you think they're weak and they cannot look after themselves, so you're having pity, and just to keep them going you do it? No, you do it out of kindness. You do it because of the relationship. You do it because you care about this person. So, I hope you understand the concept.
Do you want to pass because your professor is kind to you?
This is a wrong concept. When the concept of passing and failing comes in, there is a question of fairness. So the concept of justice kicks in. It is not kind anymore. The arrangement is, in this particular situation, you cannot just give somebody a pass based on your personal ideas. You can still be kind to the person. Even if somebody has failed, you can be kind to them and pass or fail based on their qualifications, based on their work, they do it. But the relationship of kindness can still be there. But yeah, you don't want to pass because somebody was kind to you, because that means they are being unjust.
Do you want to get a job because somebody is kind to you, or because out of your competence you want to get the job? Which way is it?
The video is getting too long. Even in this situation, there are instances when you can want to use kindness. Somebody who is competent, but there are two competent people in front of me. They're equally competent. And one is somebody I know, the other one I don't. And I choose the one that I know. In this situation, because these two people had the same competence, it was because of my kindness to this person. I know him, I've got a relationship with him in some way, and based on that, I'm recruiting him. So I'm being kind to him. And there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong because the competence is equal. There can be even situations where you see, because of your experience, you see that somebody has a huge potential of delivering the work that you need get done. So there is a job role for you and you want somebody to work for you. and you find somebody who doesn't have the qualifications, he doesn't have the certificates, but he is a very qualified person in your sight who is able to do this work. And based on this understanding, you recruit him. It is a kindness to this person. And then this person, when he is delivering as per your expectation, or even more, this is a healthy relationship. He is being kind to you as well. He is trying to give as much as possible, or even more, because that's his way of showing kindness. So there is nothing wrong with it. But if you just give somebody a job, a qualified person, but you don't need this person, but you think, if I give this guy a job, he will get a little bit of money, and his quality of life will be increased a little bit. It's not like you really care about him, but just feeling yourself as a kind, compassionate person, you decide to do it, and you give him a job of a peon, who sits outside your room on a stool and serves you, even though he has done a MBA. He just sits there, and end of the month he gets 500 rupees or 500 takas, and that's how his life is. At that point, as I explained, as soon as your ego gets affected, if your ego is getting fed by what you're doing, that is pity. And showing pity towards somebody, if they get to know that you were kind to them, you were pretending to be kind only because of your own ego, that is an insult. That is an insult. Otherwise, it is not.
Do not seek anything in this life out of kindness. That will happen when you're in your deathbed, when you can't do anything for yourself, then you expect some kindness. That also, if you're very capable, you can handle that also, you can walk to your own grave and die. I can teach you that technology also.
That's a huge claim, and there is no proof for this claim. It is not like people who are members of Isha Foundation, they are queuing up for this concept. The elderly people who have achieved everything in their life, they just walk to their to a place and decide to die there. Has it happened ever at all? Obviously he claims that his wife decided to do that, but there is a problem in that story. His wife decided to die on a particular date, and she ended up being dead much earlier. So it was not really the planned death, even though he tries to show it as if she was such a she was such an enlightened being that she decided to die on this date, and she actually died before it. Dying before it means the whole thing didn't go according to her plan. So anyway, that's a different discussion. Let's put it on a side.
That as you live consciously, you can also die consciously. It is possible for a human being to do this. A whole lot of creatures do this, do you know? Do you know, when a cobra wants to die, it finds a place somewhere, usually on top of a tree, one branch where nobody can reach, and just sits there for over 12 to 15 days without eating, and it'll die there.
I didn't know that.
When I noticed this, I didn't figure this. I thought, why has this cobra become so skinny? I brought it home and I poured milk into his mouth, I try to make him eat. And then I leave him. He again goes up the tree and sits there. 3-4 times I bring him down, again he goes up and sits there, and after 5 days he's dead. So when a crawly creature like a snake has this much awareness that life is coming to an end and he wants to die in a certain way, human beings must have this, isn't it?
The problem is, the cobra obviously didn't speak. I understand the cobra was going back to the same place. We don't know why it was doing that. It's our projection of our idea that it was actually towards the end of its life We don't know that even. And that's why it went up there and tried to sit there without food and drinks so that it dies. These are our projection of our understanding, our thinking. We just made this story up. The cobra didn't write a letter saying, this is what I'm doing. The cobra didn't tell anybody else that this is what his plan is. And as far as I know, there is no scientific investigation in this particular topic that can confirm that the cobra actually goes to a isolated place and just isolates from the world because now it is time for it to die, and it just decides to die consciously. This is a huge claim without any proof at all. Anyway, but that's a different discussion.
In this culture, we develop this, when a human being knows his life is ebbing, he withdraws. He sits by himself, it's called vanaprastha. He goes into the jungle, sits by himself, slowly leaves his life, this body. This is a wonderful way of conducting life. Now till the last moment somebody is pumping it because it's an industry. It doesn't matter, they want to stretch you for another few hours because few hours will cost a few thousand rupees and whatever else, that's different. So don't, as a young person, don't ever look for kindness. Let your competence open the doors, not somebody's kindness, isn't it?
So that's the end of the video, and as you have seen, finally the answer that he gave is, don't look for kindness. It was not, she was not looking for kindness. She was being kind to others, and she was getting then manipulated because of her kindness to others. So, say you are in an office. Sorry, I'm making the video too long. Say you are in an office, and you and your colleague, you work in the same role. So two people doing same work. One day your colleague couldn't come to work because there is an accident at home, and there is a really important task that needs to be done for the business, otherwise the business will suffer. And in this situation, it will be kind of you if you pick up that task, do it because you are capable of doing it, you do it and save the business from the loss. At the same time, because the job gets done, your colleague will now feel less stressed, because obviously they know that this task was quite important as well. If you tell them that I'm doing it, don't worry, you look after your family or whatever the accident is, deal with that and then come to office. This is kindness, right? And obviously you want to be like that. But abuse is when your colleague comes to the office, and then he has his task, you have your task, and he leaves his task on your table saying, could you do it? I really need something, and this needs to be done. So could you do it for me? He knows that you are kind by nature. That's why you will do it. And then he leaves it with you, and he goes out to, I don't know, meet his spouse and have a 2 hours long lunch. That is abuse. That is now trying to manipulate your kindness. And at that point, you should be very firm and you should take your stand. You say, sorry mate, I've got my things to do. Let me first finish my things. If I get a chance, I'll look into it. And if I don't, I'm sorry. This is not my job anyway. It's your work. You are in the office. So you should do your bit. Spending time with your spouse, do that in your personal time, like I do. Just take that stand. So at this point, you are not being rude to him. You are just being just. Just being just. And we want that. That's the answer this lady was asking for. And the second question was, should you delay reading this sort of scriptures for a certain age? I don't think that is the right thing to do, because we all want to be kind people to others. And if you, only because these scriptures teach you to be kind, you put them aside and don't want to learn about them, you will miss out hugely from your own life. because showing kindness has its benefits, which gives you a kind of peace and sense of peace, and it strengthens the relationship that we have. If somebody shows you kindness, even though you didn't need it, you still tend to be close together. You seem to identify that this person has a kind self in them. So you tend to respect them more. And that's how the relationships get better, respect gets better, and peace, sense of peace, prevails in our societies. So that's very important. So I would say, read the scriptures, be a kind person, but at the same time know when somebody is trying to abuse somebody is taking your kindness to be your weakness. As if they do, then be firm and just tell them the truth. Okay, and that will solve the problem. But according to Sadhguru's solution, if you didn't actually pay enough attention, the word that he discouraged now is kindness. So you shouldn't have kindness. I mean, lots of people who will watch this video, they will then try not to be kind because kindness is not good. Whereas what he was trying to tell was pity is not good. So because he doesn't understand the English language properly, he used the wrong word. And now, as the audience, I know what kindness means. And instead of looking at it as a virtue, now I look at it and think this is a weakness. This is something a human shouldn't have. And if few of us think in that way, it will be a disaster. We will lose our internal sense of peace, and there will be chaos. People will fight with each other for no reason, because we don't do that, because we are kind to each other. We tend to be kind to each other. That's why we do not fight all the time. Hopefully you can see where I'm coming from, and hopefully you can see how not understanding the question when he answers, how he actually brings ideas and twists the meaning of the ideas in a way that suits his this egoistic stance of, I am the person, I can answer all of your questions. That is ego. I mean, that's what I see in him. He will, no matter what you ask, he has an answer, even though he doesn't understand the question, even though he doesn't have the linguistic ability to actually address or deliver an answer to that particular question. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. I'll see you again. And leave comments if you disagree with me, and show me or give me the reason of why you disagree. Swear at me if you want to. I usually ignore those. I'm quite good at doing that. It doesn't affect me at all. But if you give me a reason of why you disagree with me, then we can learn from each other. Take care, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.